Hello, everyone. I am just waiting as more of you get on, and I apologize that we had a slightly delayed start. That is life, right? And we're here to talk about strategic self-care, and I was engaged in some of that, and that tended to run over. But I am so excited to be with you, and I'm looking forward to really helping you dial in what I believe is the best business strategy that exists. It's often the thing that we look to a business coach, or we look to the next sales funnel, or we look to whatever it is that's out there that seems like the right strategy. But what we are here to talk about today is the number one strategy for having business and life and personal success. So I am so glad to see those of you who have joined. Please let us know in the comments where you are joining us from. My right hand is Kiwi, and she is joining us as well, and she will be there to answer questions and also give you some of the resources that I'm going to be mentioning, because today's masterclass is really what I call a laser masterclass. And so by doing that, we are going to spend some time today talking in person. And then we are going to do what I call masterclass mastery. And this was something God dropped in my spirit that's really about how do I help you really start to implement the things that we talk about. And this is all a part of self-care. I am Amy Van Slambrook. I am a CEO, strategist, and therapist and coach. And I have been blessed to help 7- and 8-figure entrepreneurial women and couples really help unlock those deep-seated beliefs that are keeping them from the personal success that they have achieved or want to achieve, while also achieving their business success. Often those things are things we don't even understand. They're things that are mysterious, and yet it's sort of like having your foot on the brake and the accelerator at the same time. Do you guys relate to that? And so what I do is help you uncover the one core message that is underlying all of those things that have felt like you've wanted them to happen for so long, and you can't quite get them to align, or you find yourself continuing in the same patterns and you can't seem to break that in your life, whether it's in relationships, or whether it's in health, or whether it's in solving issues that you know are coming up from your childhood. And you kind of wait till you have the right time and opportunity to do that. And unfortunately, that doesn't help, because there's never a right time. There's only the right time for you to finally declare that this is your time to take time to heal. And so I really look forward to sharing with you today in our laser masterclass that is all about the strategy of self-care. It was really poignant to me when my business coach, Kelly Roach, said the way that she got from 6 to 7 figures was dialing in her self-care, which is not something you hear very often, right? And yet it is the thing that really allows us to transcend and transform and really have that breakthrough that I know that you felt is just an inch away. Do you guys relate to that? That it can feel like, oh, I've been working towards this forever, and it feels like it's just outside of my reach. Right? I know, because I've been through it. I truly believe that we are allowed to go through a certain amount of struggle in order to help other people go through the same. And I've had it happen over and over again in my life. And for me, that's something that God allows in my life, because it's allowed me not only to grow closer to Him, but also to much more deeply and poignantly help those women and couples who I am called to serve. Whether they believe in God or not, we work through those deep soul issues. And what I've found in my own journey, because I was a corporate executive and I am a worker. I have been a worker since I was really little tiny. In fact, one of my favorite pictures of myself is at 2. I was in my white fur coat and red patent leather shoes, and I am sweeping the garage, and I am working, even though I had great fashion at the time, I was really, really in that worker mode. And that is how I have achieved. And hard work is a necessity, right? But it also became my safety zone, so much so that I was really caught in trying to just have the kind of success I saw everybody else having. And I thought they did it because they just worked harder and they worked more hours. And the corporate culture, where I was an executive for 15 years and I was a CEO direct report for a company of 9,000 employees. I managed a budget of $60 million, all of the moving pieces of it. I oversaw contracts and large departments. And so it was not unusual for us to be answering email on Christmas morning or responding to things at 2 a.m. And I let myself fall into that culture. And I was also in graduate school full time, and I was doing clinicals, and I was in a relationship at the time that was very time consuming. And so not too much time for sleep, very little time for self-care. I don't know that I had any really at that point. I worked out every day, I ate, but it was always on the run. And I'm going to read for you some of the signs that you know you are hitting a level of soul depletion, because that's what I hit. And I hit it hard. And in my world, that means God starts to wake me up to that. And he starts to take things back. And he starts to stop the flow of things in my life to get me to wake up. Because I don't know if you're anything like me, but I sometimes require a 2x4 equivalent to get my attention, because I am stubborn and I want to do it my way. I am very independent. I'm an Enneagram 8 with an enormous heart, and I love to love people, and I'm a feeler. I'm an empath too. And so I was caught in all these emotions, and also in this wanting to satisfy all the requirements, wanting to do an excellent job, and wanting to manage all of the pieces of this huge responsibility. But here are the signs that I started to notice. And I want you to take a quick inventory of this list in your own life. And we're going to be covering these in the email sequence that I am going to be sending to you, but you have to stay until the end and listen if you really want to get in on this, and make sure that this is a masterclass that not just enriches your day or enriches this 30 minutes we spend together, but it changes the way you are doing life, or it opens you up to the ways that you need a coach and a therapist to come alongside you and help you start to do this work. Because until we make time for our life to change, it doesn't change. It doesn't provide you with an opportunity to go in there because there's enough time or things have slowed down. They will never slow down. I guarantee it. I guarantee it. Until you put the brakes on, the car keeps going. And so I want you to take a quick inventory as I read these things. The warnings of a neglected soul or a level of soul depletion that has shown you that you are sorely lacking in implementing the strategy of self-care. Your passion fades. That means that it's a sustained motivational loss. You no longer feel highs and lows, kind of numb, or everything's just kind of the same, or you don't even know what you're feeling. You're just getting through the day, minute by minute, reaction by reaction. Little things make you disproportionately emotional. Can you relate to this? It may be a little thing, or maybe that driver who's driving too slow when you're in a hurry, or it could be that there's a small disappointment and you melt into tears. That isn't anything to blame yourself for. That is something to see as a sign that you need to attend to yourself more. That's a cry out from your soul. Everybody drains you. And, different people drain us, no matter how healthy we are, no matter how much self-care we have. But when nobody energizes you and all of that feels depleting, it's not that they are the problem, it's that we are. You become cynical. Not just normal, sarcastic, funny, but really cynical. And I know you know what I'm talking about. And quite honestly, the last 2.5 years have given us a lot of opportunities to be cynical, but it's that default, that you're going there first. And I want you to just be writing these down, and we're going to send you these afterwards. Nothing satisfies you. That kind of insatiable hunger, and you don't even know what you're hungry for. Sometimes we reach for food. Sometimes we restrict food. Sometimes we reach for overexercise, but we don't reach for self-care. And that's what we're here to talk about today. Your productivity is dropping. If you notice you're distracted more, you have a hard time focusing, you have a hard time prioritizing, all of those things are signs that you are depleted, and not just depleted in like a massage or a mani-pedi. We're talking about strategic self-care that is really targeted at what you are needing to satisfy and to soothe you and to heal you. You're self-medicating, whether that's through supplements, whether it's through alcohol, whether it's through food, or whether it's from actual medication or illicit drugs. Or if you're a smoker, or if you like caffeine and you have a lot more caffeine to try to keep yourself wired, that's addictive. Our body gets addicted to cortisol, and that is part of what gets surging through our system with caffeine or any kind of amphetamine or upper, or even if you are trying to relax and you just find yourself really, really needing more than the occasional glass of wine. You've got to have multiple glasses of wine in order to relax at night, or you need to take something in excess every single night. Lots of us are attending to our bodies, and I'm an advocate of using supplements, and we're going to connect you to some of my favorites for those. But it is about understanding where the line is. When it's about giving your body what it needs, because I take about 20 supplements a day, and that helps my brain be optimized. It also helps me, because that long journey of corporate exhaustion led me to do some permanent damage in my body that I am working to heal. And that's a journey I get to learn on, but it's also something that I am daily reminded of the consequences of burnout and not engaging in strategic self-care. And so that is something that you always get to be mindful of, because our bodies are finite and they have limits, and we push them often way past the limits until we start to notice some of these signs. You don't laugh anymore. If you find it hard to find anything to be humorous, or one of my hallmarks, I try to remember the last time I laughed, other than when it was at myself. And even then, I love to laugh, and I have a really sarcastic sense of humor that the people who know me best get to hear. But I realize at times when I am not engaging in strategic self-care that I have not laughed in a long time. That not only relieves stress, but it boosts T cells, which helps with your immunity, and it also helps relax your central nervous system. And the last thing is that sleep no longer fuels you. That you can't get enough. In some cases, it's hard to get any, but you definitely are feeling exhausted all the time. So if any of those or many of those were things that you can relate to, I want you to just raise your hand. And if you're watching this on the replay, I want you to just put your hand on your heart and promise yourself that you are going to start to listen, because these are the signs that your body and your soul are giving you, that what you are doing now is not only not working, but it's hurting you, it's harming you, and it is keeping you from your next level. And life is not going to slow down. I will say that over and over and over again until you make time and prioritize the care that you need. Life will not slow down and give you space to do that. There is a way to show up as a high performer and still care for yourself. It is about showing up in your personal leadership over your body and over your spirit and over what you need as a human being, and not minimizing it, not putting that way down on the list of priorities, or saying, I don't want to be soft, so I can just suck it up and do it, right? I've said it a million times, and I've suffered a million consequences for doing it. And so I stand before you as not only somebody who helps women and couples radically transform this in their life, but who also has had to do it in my life. And I still get to do it because life is always full. And that's a huge blessing. I would much rather have a blessedly full life than a boring life with nothing in it. And sometimes we have a hard time envisioning anything in between, where life does not feel frenetic, but it feels like it fuels you. And then you can fuel other people. You can show up as the best version of yourself, and you gain leadership over yourself. Because tell me if you can relate to this. When we don't have strategic self-care, often we also don't feel very in control of our lives. We feel like everything is coming at us and we're just in reaction mode. The first step of strategic self-care is to take an inventory. And I think most of you are ladies who are watching, but I want you to take an inventory. And it doesn't have to be complicated. You don't need to have like all kinds of spreadsheets and statistics. And I want you to start to feel yourself throughout the day. And 5 times a day, I want you to just put on a Post-it note. How am I feeling? What am I thinking? And what is my body doing right now? And I want you to make note of that at the same time each day, 5 times a day. And that takes less than 10 seconds to do, but it will be radically informative of what you are sensing and what you are needing. And every single day, same 5 times a day, the last question I want you to ask yourself is, what am I needing right now? And probably when you first ask that question, according to most people who I ask this question of on an annoyingly frequent basis, because I was asked the same question and it's how I healed. Usually nothing comes up. I have no idea. And then they move on. Listen, because your body and your mind and your soul will tell you. And if you are someone who has a spiritual life, God will tell you too. Until we start to listen, you will not be able to implement enough self-care to really, really satiate what you're needing and to start giving yourself that blessing. A lack of self-care is what keeps you from your next level, financially, business-wise, with your clients, with any of your customers, with the way that you are showing up and serving in your personal relationships, in your marriage, in your friendships, and even in your nutrition. Self-care is not selfish. It's actually service. And that is part of the biggest strategy of self-care, that when you start filling yourself up, you are going to show up at a whole new level. But the first step is awareness. So I want you to take inventory at these 5 times during the day. And that's critically important because the first hallmark is a lack of self-awareness. Probably you've felt all of these things that I just read, but you haven't necessarily heard them spoken over you or had the time to put words to what you're really feeling on a day-to-day basis. Is that true? Because I know that that has been true for me. When I first read this list, I was like, wow, I meet way too many of these at that period in my life. And I got to take time. And it didn't feel safe. And I didn't feel like, oh, everything just slowed down. And so this was a beautiful, easy time. No, it was hard. And it took faith and it took surrender. And I just had to lay it all down. Because I knew that if I didn't, I would just keep suffering. And more importantly, the women and couples who I am here to serve would be suffering. And all of those people who I love, my family, my friends, they would suffer too. And my body and my brain would suffer. You know, when we start to pause and take inventory, you're also soothing your central nervous system. And that is another component of strategic self-care. You cannot think, you cannot focus, you cannot extend attention, you cannot prioritize or respond at a deep level if you are in fight or flight. And that is where you go when you are out of the nervous system that is rest and digest. And so the cortisol is surging, and it's the same thing as if you were outrunning a bear. And you are not going to have the best strategic thinking when you're outrunning a bear, right? You just want to survive. And so what you don't realize is that the crumbs you are giving out to yourself and to other people are so small in comparison to what you will be able to give. And by slowing down, you are allowing your nervous system to be in a rest and digest state, which allows blood flow to go to your brain, to your heart, to your lungs, and you get to feel human again. So awareness is the first step, but then what do we do, Amy? Well, here's what I know. If I gave you all of those steps, you would probably not remember them and they would feel nice in this moment, but they wouldn't be something that you'd be able to implement. Because if you're not aware, you're not going to know where you need to fill things up. And so the first step is awareness. And we're going to pay attention to all the different areas of self-care because it has to do with your energy. It has to do with your body. It has to do with your mind. And it has to do with your relationships. But I want you to dial in on this first step. And this is what I call Masterclass mastery. And I want you to be fueled with some tools that I think are absolutely essential. Right supplementation. And there are things called OptiPacks, which is an amazing collection of all of the supplements that you need in one packet. You don't even have to think about it. And the link that Kiwi is going to share with you in the chat and also in the follow-up email with the replay is going to connect you to some of the best that I've found. And I've researched them for over 2 years. I've tried them on myself. And that is how I'm able to recommend them to you. Obviously, I am not a physician. These are not to be taken as medical guidance. And my legal and ethical obligation to you is to say, check with your doctor before you take any sort of supplementation to make sure it's safe for your situation. But I do know this company has exceptional supplements. They have exceptional collagen. If you're having hair loss and skin loss, I have had those restore both of those areas for me, and they have wonderful probiotics with gut healing. If you're needing to help restore your metabolism, they have amazing products for that. And this isn't about me pushing something. This is about me wanting to connect you to what might feel good to your body right now and make it easier. The other thing is to connect to some sound frequency healing, which is actually soothing to the brain. And we're going to connect that link to you as well in the replay. And these are some tools that I have found that have really transformed my own health and my own self-care. Because in 20 minutes, you can play it in the background. You are able to soothe your brain and soothe your nervous system. And I have a great discount that I share with those that I get to serve that allows you to try it out for about $10 for the first month. And it's a wonderful, wonderful program called Soak, and it's even on Alexa. What I want you to pay attention to, ladies, is really thinking through this question of making time. And am I waiting for life to open up, or am I going to make time and make this a priority? And so what's really important is that you start to give yourself the reassurance that now you are not going to make it wait any longer. That you are loving and nurturing yourself by saying, I'm going to make this a priority because everything else is not working. There is no better business strategy out there. And you aren't going to be able to really engage and take advantage of those strategies without proper self-care locked in the first place, which is why I have such a heart for it. And I want you to take those points of awareness 5 times throughout the day. And we are going to be sending you emails over the next 7 to 10 days that are going to have bite-sized pieces so that you can start to get mastery over this rather than dumping everything and saying, okay, go have some great self-care and it was great to see you. No, I care so much about your heart, and I care so much about you actually taking action that we are going to give these to you in bite-sized pieces. because I know when I was trying to get into self-care and recover from exhaustion and burnout and the effects of trauma, I couldn't handle more than one bite at a time. In fact, it just felt like one more thing on my to-do list or one more thing I wasn't doing well. And it just kind of went over my head. And I don't want that for you. You deserve so much more. Your body, your soul, your little self, all of them deserve so much love and so much care. And it is never indulgent. It's actually intelligent. And so I hope that this has been really, really helpful for you. I want you to send us questions as you are watching the replay. And as always, I would love to have a breakthrough call with you if you are looking for really, really direct support. I have a very limited number of spots and a wonderful offering for that. And we will put a link for a breakthrough call in the follow-up email. And there are other ways to work with me too, and we can talk through that as well. My concern, my hope, my whole core is about getting you the care that you need and the healing that you need to help you unlock that next level inside of you, because it is so much closer than you think. You are just inches away, but those inches hold a lot of action. And that comes from a heart of love for you. I don't want you to have to suffer. I don't want you to have to just suck it up and do it. I don't want you to have to exist on crumbs anymore. You are so much more than that. And God wants so much more than that for you. And if you don't believe in God, I just know that you deserve that, because you were created and you need to serve the world and you get to enjoy life in the process. I am sending so much love, and I really, really appreciate you taking the time to be with us today. Have a fantastic rest of your day. And bye-bye.